The silence in the master bedroom was deafening. For 6 months, Mark had slept on the couch, not because he wanted to, but because his wife, Sarah, couldn't stand to look at him. "I'm just not attracted to failure, Mark," she had said the day he lost his job at the firm. She stopped holding his hand. She stopped asking about his day. And when he reached for her at night, hoping for just a little comfort, she would turn away. "Get a job," she'd snap. "Then we can talk about intimacy." Mark took it. He swallowed the rejection. He swallowed the shame. And he worked. He stayed up until 4 a.m. applying for roles, building his own consulting business from scratch. And then it happened, the breakthrough. A tech giant bought his startup idea for 8 figures. Overnight, Mark wasn't just employed, he was a multi-millionaire. Sarah's attitude changed instantly. Suddenly, she was cooking his favorite meals. Suddenly, she was wearing that silk dress he liked. Suddenly, she wanted him back in the master bed. But Mark didn't come back. Instead, he started coming home late. He smelled of vanilla and lavender, a scent Sarah didn't recognize. He was distant, cold. And then came the conversation that shattered her. "I can't rely on you for love, Sarah," Mark told her one evening, adjusting his expensive tie. "You made it clear that your love is conditional, so I've found someone else who gives me what I need." Sarah froze. You're cheating on me?" "I'm seeing someone who appreciates me," Mark said calmly, "rich or poor." Then he walked out the door. Sarah didn't cry. She got angry. "He thinks he can replace me now that he has money?" She grabbed her keys. She turned on the Find My Phone app she secretly installed on his device. She was going to catch him. She was going to ruin him. She followed the blue dot on the map. It didn't lead to a fancy hotel. It didn't lead to a nightclub. It led to a small, rundown bungalow on the edge of town. Sarah parked down the street, her heart pounding. She watched Mark walk up the steps, carrying a large bouquet of flowers and a bag of groceries. A woman opened the door. She was blonde, petite, smiling. She hugged Mark tightly. Sarah saw red. She stormed out of her car. She marched up the driveway. She was going to scream. She was going to throw the ring in his face. She kicked the front door open without knocking. "Is this her?" Sarah shrieked. "Is this the woman you—" The words died in her throat. She wasn't looking at a bedroom. She was looking at a living room filled with medical equipment. And the blonde woman she saw at the door, she wasn't a mistress. She was a nurse. And sitting in the armchair, wrapped in a blanket, was an elderly woman, frail, shaking, but smiling up at Mark like he was an angel. "Mark?" Sarah whispered, confused. Mark turned around. He didn't look guilty. He looked tired. "Sarah," he said quietly, "meet Mrs. Higgins." Sarah looked at the old woman. "Who?" "When you kicked me out of the bedroom," Mark said, his voice trembling. "When you told me I was a failure. Mrs. Higgins was the only one who told me I wasn't." He walked over and held the old woman's hand. "She was my high school English teacher. I ran into her at the library when I was applying for jobs. She didn't care that I was broke. She brought me coffee. She read over my business plans. She told me I was going to make it." Mark looked at Sarah, and for the first time she saw the pain in his eyes. "She has stage 4 cancer, Sarah. She has no family, no money for a caregiver." He gestured to the nurse. "The money I make, it pays for her care. The time I spend here, it's because she's the only person in the world who loved me when I had nothing." "The vanilla smell?" Mrs. Higgins whispered, her voice weak. "It's my candles, dear. Mark lights them for me because the darkness scares me." Sarah stood in the doorway. She was wearing her expensive coat, holding her expensive bag, but she felt like the poorest woman on earth. She realized then that Mark hadn't cheated on her body. He had cheated on her conditional love with unconditional grace. He had found emotional safety with a dying woman because his own wife had become a stranger. Sarah dropped to her knees. "I'm sorry," she sobbed. "Mark, I'm so sorry." Mark didn't pull away, but he didn't hug her either. "I know," he said softly, "but trust is like a mirror, Sarah. You can fix it if it's broken, but you can still see the crack in the reflection." Mark eventually forgave Sarah, but things were never the same. It took years to rebuild what her rejection had destroyed. If this story taught you something, hit that subscribe button. And remember, if you don't love them when they're hustling, you don't deserve them when they're winning. See you in the next video.